Okay, so today for the cancer support mindfulness session, thought it might be interesting just to talk a little bit about sitting down to meditate. Last week we talked about lying down and how it really helps us to be more embodied, particularly when we have a lot of stuff going on in our minds. And to lie down if you need to feel particularly secure and stable. And today we're going to talk a little bit about sitting posture um, and how that can support our practice. So there are many possibilities for sitting to meditate. And I guess the most famous one would be seeing somebody sitting cross-legged. Um, and if you feel motivated to try sitting cross-legged on a meditation cushion, feel free. If you sit cross-legged, make sure that your knees are lower than your hips. Another option with a meditation cushion is not to actually sit cross-legged, but to kneel, so that your knees are either side of the cushion and your pelvis is resting on the cushion. The idea is really to make a base which is stable. Or like we do most weeks, just sitting in a chair. Um, and the purpose of sitting to meditate, it's not about the posture, about the way that you're sitting. It's more about just using the coming into posture as a way of arriving into our practice. But there are some basics that you would be looking for. And first is, um, make sure if you need one that you've got a cushion for your back, so your back is supported. You can sit forwards in the chair so your back is free, or lean back if you want. And your feet, although you can't see my feet, I've got little legs, so I've got a yoga block under my feet so that they are secure, because that is the most important thing. Whatever way you sit, cross-legged or kneeling or in a chair, the idea is that this posture gives you a sense of stability, in a kind of literal sense, but then also this idea of the feeling of being stable and secure while you practice. And that then allows the body to become as effortless as possible. So last week we talked about how lying down allows us to literally let go of all effort and allow ourselves to be received and held by the floor beneath us. And the idea in the chair is the same. You want to find a way that the body feels naturally balanced. And the word dignified comes to mind. Okay, sense of dignified but effortless sitting in a chair. Your feet in contact with the floor, so you've got that stability. And then your arms, you could either lay them on your lap with the palms down, or the palms up, or you can clasp your hands and just rest them in your lap. But the purpose of doing that is then to allow the shoulders and the spine to relax a little bit. We're not holding and bracing. We are allowing the body to become as effortless as possible. So, whatever that feels like for you, keyword stability, dignified, effortless, balanced. And then dropping the intention that through coming into this posture, we're kind of deliberately, intentionally, purposefully arriving into practice into awareness, open mind, presence to whatever is here right now. So as we arrive into practice, just checking in with how things are in your body, in your mind, in your emotions right now. There might be issues, situations, circumstances that you're dealing with right now. So really just acknowledging what is here today and how it's felt in your body, how it turns up in the activity of the mind, and how it feels within your emotional landscape today. And this posture supports our capacity to then open a mindful space around our experience so that we can slow things down, almost frame by frame, and really dive more deeply, more intimately into a presence and a connection with whatever is alive in the body, the mind, the emotions today. So by taking up our posture, we drop into this invitation to become more aware of the flow of present moment experience. And the posture allows us to let go of efforting, let go of the to-do list, responsibilities, and planning, allows us to rest in awareness, a way of just being present with whatever is here. So we can now begin to use our posture to get ourselves what we would call more grounded in the present moment. So, in this sense, rather than mindfulness, in a way, we're studying bodyfulness. We're studying how the body, or connecting to how the body feels sitting in this chair. We can check in with like how the body's weight is supported. Maybe you feel your feet in contact with the floor, or in my case, a yoga block, or whatever is supporting your feet. It's that sense of the feet and the weight of the legs being supported. That there's something solid and stable beneath the feet. And then you can sense up through the legs, feel maybe the backs of the thighs, and the weight of the body coming down through the buttocks, the sit bones, and connect to that sense within the body that the weight is stable and supported, and the body can just rest in this chair. And perhaps also there's a support behind your back. I think that sense that the dignity and the upright nature of the spine comes a sense of effortless balance, noticing how the back is supported by a cushion or the chair. Also, just dropping awareness into these arms. Yeah, how if you've resting your arms in the lap, whatever way you've decided, the noticing that the body's weight, the arm's weight, is supported as well. The shoulders can relax. Then the best that you can, we want to make sure that the neck feels balanced and maybe the chin just tucked a little bit. So we're not striving up and putting tension on the neck. We're not dropped down, which might also stretch or pull different parts. We're finding somewhere in the middle where the head can feel as though the weight is supported all the way down the spine and then held by the chair. And then around that, just inviting this arriving into a place of curiosity and dignity and effortless presence and awareness. If you find that you're thinking about your posture, you're evaluating, you're thinking, oh, it should be more like this, it should be less than that, then that's an exercise in thinking. Instead, see if we can let go of that and actually feel the posture in the body. Feel the arms through the arms and the shoulders in the shoulders. Let the body do the speaking. Let the physical sensations of balance and touch and pressure tune into what the body knows already, that we are sitting in a chair and that we have nothing to do right now. We have nowhere to be, nowhere to go. We can just relax into presence. And a useful way to arrive into this sense of just being an effortless presence, which is the opposite of striving for something to happen. We just become awareness of what is already here. And a wonderful way to do this is to begin to open up to listening to all the sounds in the world around you. We can't go looking for sounds. We can't just make sounds appear. It's a bit like fishing. You just have to sit there and wait. Eventually you'll hear something, even if it's just my voice, or you might hear, I don't know, air conditioning or birds outside or traffic on a road or people in another room, ticking of a clock. We just want to invite our primary focus of attention to noticing these sounds. Have a curiosity about their pitch, high or low, their intensity, loud or soft. Maybe they have a particular tone, might be dull, might be shiny. And the sounds also have a particular duration, some very brief, and others that last for much longer. We're noticing the more subtle, gentle sounds. So we're just simply tuning into awareness of sound, aware that this sound is arriving in through the ears and it comes into our awareness as we just sit here and be with the experience of sound arriving into the ears, into the mind, the body. So, as we said at the beginning, our practice is to allow us to become more intimate, more connected to our human experience. And one thing that's perfectly human is that the minute we try to focus our attention for a long time on sounds, inevitably the mind will begin to wander. Right? You might feel that it's the only person that this happens to, but actually it happens to us all. Every single person who sits as long as we have, even just for 10 minutes in meditation, we'll very quickly notice that the mind is always thinking, planning, evaluating. When we become aware of this restless mind, this gives us an opportunity to form a relationship with it. One based on the attitudes of mindfulness, so acceptance. All minds do what minds do, they think. Acknowledgement that there is something going around in your head right now, but also the capacity to let that go, that we don't have to jump in and follow every thought. We can just be aware that there is thinking going on. And if we can unhook our focus from there and bring the primary focus of attention back into the body, sitting in the chair, and into the sounds that are arriving, really tuning into a curiosity to notice their pitch, their duration, whether they're random or reoccurring. That every sound has a beginning, a duration, an end. And while we do that, there's this opportunity to also just observe what's going on in the mind, to notice those habits, just name them as, there's a story, there's boredom, there's a memory, there's restlessness, planning or judgment. Might even notice an emotional charge that goes with that awareness, maybe a sense of success or failure. So just sitting and listening to sounds gives us access to connecting to all that other stuff that goes on in the body, the emotions, the self-evaluation, the judgment that we pour on our own shoulders. When we're aware of it, let go of that as a focus, come back to feeling the body in the chair, connecting to sounds in the room around you. And the mind is like a puppy. It'll sit there obediently, listening to sounds for a minute or two, and then it'll start thinking again. It'll wander off into a memory, a planning, an evaluation. But we have our mindful awareness. Oh, there's thinking again. When we notice, our awareness gives us that opportunity to let the thinking go, come back to the next sound, come back to the sense of the body sitting in the chair. So another way to be grounded in the present moment, let's see if we can do this, keeping an awareness of the sounds, an awareness of the body in the chair. Can we also feel the movement of the breathing, maybe in the belly or the chest? So whatever is happening in the mind right now, whatever emotions are coming up around that, our invitation is now to drop that to the background and to really bring the focus of your attention into wherever you feel the breathing most present today. The belly, the chest, the mouth, the nose. Just tuning in and noticing, where do I feel the physical sensations of breathing to be most vivid and alive in the body today. Let me just rest our attention on the movement of in breath and out breath. And just as when we're listening to sounds, sitting with the breath, very quickly the mind will begin to wander, curious, planning. Oh, what am I doing sitting here? Am I doing it right? Ah, my back doesn't feel very comfortable. Whatever. There'll be a thought. Got to get the shopping done. Got to clean out the fridge. Got to tidy up that thing. Got to organize for that other thing. Oh, what about that thing that I said to that person the other day? I wonder what they're feeling now. Did I upset them? There's always something that comes into the mind. So whenever we just notice that thinking, for now, just go, oh yeah, I've gone into thinking. Come back to the next in breath, the next out breath, as felt in the body. And within that, there might be a sense of striving. Maybe you're finding something in your energy today and you're wishing things were different, or you're finding something that you quite like, and you're like, oh, I wish it would stay. I wish this could be forever. Sense of holding on to something that you know is going to slip from your fingers. So by sitting in the chair with our body supported, this gives us space to focus on sounds or breathing. And this gives us a place to then be more aware of the emotions, the thinking that's going on. Aware of all the times that the mind goes wandering into thinking. How many times we have to pull it back to feeling the breath in the body. Practice and noticing the difference between awareness of thinking and awareness of breathing. And from here, we can now drop deeper into the body. Around the breath, there is this body that is breathing. We just drop a question into the body. How are you feeling today? What's alive in you today? And as we waited for sound, there will be an answer that comes from the body. Maybe just a sense of the posture of your body in the chair, how we feel that in our bones and our muscles and on the skin. Maybe also a sense of the skin on the surface of the body, an awareness of temperature in the room. Maybe that's felt differently on the face compared to the arms or the hands or the legs. Just checking in with all the places where the skin might be aware of temperature, noting what it feels like in different parts of the body. And then around that, there's a sense deeper into the muscles of the body. Even just a sense of which muscles are engaged to allow the sitting posture to be balanced, to be dignified. Also, which muscles can be relaxed because most of the weight of the body is actually supported here by the chair. And then we might connect also to the inner organs, the belly, the chest, the digestion. Just get a general sense of the body's physical landscape, energy, what we call the felt sense, has a kind of an emotional charge to it. Maybe today things in the body feel relaxed. Maybe they feel pleasant or unpleasant. We can work with that. There's an awareness of the natural human tendency to like things and dislike others, to want to hold on to what feels good, to want to resist or avoid what feels bad. So if we're aware of this sense of pleasant, unpleasant, or discomfort, or even pain, can we bring an awareness to this and with that awareness, a softness, a kindness? Sometimes we're very judging, critical. And if those thoughts are there, then we have to accept that they're there. But around them, we can also invite a sense of kindness, of softness. If we find tension in the body, if we find pain in the body, then we can work with that in our meditation. Maybe even if we find fatigue, we can just investigate what it feels like. Really get to know that pain, that tension, that fatigue. Find out where it's located and what its intensity is and what sort of sensations are within that pain or that fatigue or that tension. All the time inviting a softness and a kindness as we investigate and knowing our limits. If things get too intense or too uncomfortable, we can just let them go, bring our attention back to breathing, to body and chair. Perhaps we might even notice that as we turn towards discomfort, there might be changes in our emotions, might be changes in the perspiration on the skin, or changes in heartbeat, changes in breathing. Maybe some parts of the body tense up. So by sitting in this posture, we can really connect to the way that the body comes alive with reaction, emotion, as we meet all these different layers of our current lived experience. And remember also that we could notice things that feel very pleasant today in the body, things that feel neutral. So we're allowed to realize that there's actually, even in one body in one moment, often a whole variety of experience, sensation, pulsing, tingling, buzzing, temperature, touch, pressure, contact, comfort and discomfort. And sitting here, we can just be open to noticing all of these. And our reason for sitting here is to be open to this flow of lived experience that is here right now. And to go to the final possible way that we can use our sitting meditation, we can also connect, of course, to an awareness of the energy and activity within the mind. So we can stay grounded in posture. The chair's there, the body's supported. We always have that to come back to as a way of just connecting with our intentions and purposed and focused attention. We are in charge of where we put our attention. The body is a great grounding. I'm here, I'm in chair. The breath, the physical sensations allow us to then spread that knowledge of what is here today in the body, emotional responses, discomfort and comfort, temperature, touch, pressure, whether the body's agitated or calm, tired or energized, whether there's particular things going on in the body that are pulling our attention that we want to really get to understand. And then there's the mind that's going to be working around what we find. So, as an analogy, we sometimes say watching clouds, like you're lying on a hillside and the clouds that billow across the sky that form and then melt, that become dark and heavy or light and fluffy, sometimes very clear sky, sometimes very covered. It's like watching the mind. And as you lie on the hillside, you can see those clouds, but you can't float with them. So we can watch the thoughts forming, billowing, melting, heavy thoughts, light thoughts, blue sky day in the head or a heavy stormy day. We can observe. And sometimes people say it's like sitting on the bank of a river, watching the water flow and whirl and spiral. There's currents. Sometimes the river flows fast. Sometimes it just meanders. Sometimes it goes round in circles. Sometimes things get snagged. We can't seem to get them to flow properly. But we sit on the river bank. We're not actually in the river, we're just observing. So there's two ways to think about it. And the third might be to be at a roadside. Maybe you're sitting in a bus stop or on a bench and you're watching traffic. Sometimes the road's very busy, sometimes it's very quiet, sometimes there's big, heavy lorries, other times just little pedal bikes, or the traffic might be an analogy for the way that we watch the thoughts in our head. So once you've picked an analogy, when we drop into the mind, we could say, oh yeah, it's like a flooding torrent of a river today, or it's like a traffic jam, or it's like a heavy cloudy day, or a windy day, or I don't know. You get an idea that you can now observe your thoughts with a an analogy that you can use to connect with what you see. And also the sense that thoughts are just events going through the head. We can watch how they arise. We can watch if they ricochet off other thoughts or how one thought leads to another. How sometimes they're stories, sometimes they're planning or worrying, sometimes they're very negative thoughts or fantasies, if only, a wish. So we can observe the nature of our thinking, the processes of the mind. And we can observe our relationship to them. I like that thought. I don't like this thought. I hate the way these thoughts keep coming back into my mind. We can work out if we have the capacity to hold what is there, whether we like it or not, but just allow it to be. We can be with it, even if it feels unpleasant. Or whether we have this impulse to fight it, to push it away, to try and fix it or change it, to try and think differently from the way the mind is thinking by itself. So we can observe that relationship that we have too. And of course, we can relate to how that then comes alive in the body, in the emotions. So taking a step back, we can now observe the body in the chair, breathing in the body, sounds in the room around us, and the thoughts within the mind. We just rest here now. See what comes into awareness, a feeling, a sensation, an emotion, a thought. We observe. More than just observe, we kind of sense into how it lives within the mind, how it lives within the body. We are in this body while we feel the body. We are in the mind as we observe the mind. If we notice any striving for things to be different, any resistance to what is here, can we accept that those reactions are normal, human, but also how do they feel in the body? What does it feel like to always be fighting with your thoughts, to be resisting or trying to fix something as if there's something wrong? And what does it feel like just to be and observe and be curious, to accept and acknowledge what is here and just get to know it a little bit better just by sitting with it in mindful presence and awareness. If you want to add another dimension to your practice, you can open your eyes, but stay in practice. Just look at the room or the world around you. Notice the details, the colors, the shapes. Just be present with how that feels to be in presence of what is here. And that's really just all that there is to a sitting meditation. It's an opportunity for us just to, first of all, connect to the body in the chair. So when you think about all the different times of a day that you are sitting, sit down to breakfast and then use the sense of the body in the chair as a way of being present with the tastes and the textures and the experience, the emotional and physical experience of eating your breakfast. Or if you're sitting in a car as a passenger or even as the driver and feeling present as you actually drive through space, aware of the interior of the car and aware of the world around you. Of course, we arrive in a waiting room, and very often people, by instinct, they pick up their phones. You see people in waiting rooms now, and they're all like this or like this. But why not just sit there, maybe even just close your eyes and feel your body in the chair, your breathing in your body. Connect to your own lived and living experience right there in that moment. Instead of in your phone, which is taking you out of presence. It's a distraction away from really knowing yourself, knowing the world that you're in. When we sit on a park bench or we sit down for a meal in a restaurant or in an appointment waiting room, this posture is a cue to the body to come into presence and awareness and connection to our lived experience. Or even just when we're sitting, I don't know, watching the scenery or watching the sea. Could be sitting on a rock, sitting on the beach, sitting in the garden. to be aware that you are sitting, to use the posture of the body as a way of coming into presence and awareness is a doorway into just being connected to all the different layers of what is alive, moment by moment in life. Once we're aware, once we know our impulses, our patterns of what happens when to the mind when we sit and do nothing for 5 minutes, of what does the body feel like when we really connect to it, like what happens to the attention when we become aware that the mind is wandering, when we really are curious to not answer those questions but to live those questions, see what it feels like to know the answers by living them in the body, in the mind. That's how we use this posture as a way of coming into mindful awareness. So well done for your practice today. Well done for being here. Give yourself a pat on the back. Okay, good job. Yeah. You've got this video if you want to come back and listen to the guided practice anytime you want. But really, a sitting meditation can last one breath. It can last 5 minutes as you settle into a meeting or a meal. Can last half an hour as you just go into the flow of being present with a sunset or watching people walking along the promenade on the coast or watching the insects flying around the garden, watching the breeze in the trees or the bushes. So make the practice your own and see how you can integrate it into becoming more aware, like living mindfulness, mindful living. So I'm going to end the video there so that those of us who are here, we can have a little chat about the practice. And for the rest of you, you have this video now to come back to whenever you want.